Hello, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, June 15th, 2012. Okay, do the Greek elections really matter that are coming up this weekend? I mean, after all, the Greeks still have to find a way to pay their bills. Now, there's three outcomes. Either the bankers could basically win it, or the anti-bailout, the socialists could win it, or there could not be enough votes for any party to put together a majority, and that's likely what's going to be happening. But still, the Greeks have to find a way to pay their bills, and they're in deep financial trouble, and they could set off a daisy chain of other countries wanting to leave the European Union. Now, they're talking about some G20 money bomb, nuclear money bomb, really, pour the coals to everything. Isn't that the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome? That's what Albert Einstein said. Yeah, well, Spain is the latest casualty in the banking bailout extravaganza. And, the Spaniards are needing big money. Their banks are also insolvent. But it just looks like another sign that really the whole thing is out of control. And it's just fighting off insolvency. They won't take these banks. And that's what we're really talking about, not the countries. Spanish banks, the banks in Greece, the banks in Italy and in Spain, Portugal, Ireland. The banks are the ones getting all this money, and not the people. The people are on the hook for it, and that's what the bankers want. So, there are reports of capital controls coming out of Europe. Some banks are declaring holidays. Capital controls mean you can't take money. It's only so much money out of the ATM. You can't transfer money out of the country. You can only get so much money. It's just an ugly situation going on in Europe, and there's only a matter of time before what's happening over there comes over to the U.S. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, was testifying in front of Congress this week. And, the two big questions that were not answered: how much is your loss? He's not telling. How big was the trade? That's proprietary information, basically, according to Jamie Dimon. And I think this guy's got, some real kahunas. I mean, this is pretty incredible. He's there to talk about derivatives and leverage, and nobody would dare ask that there's $70 trillion in derivatives at J.P. Morgan alone. That's more than the world GDP. One bank with $70 trillion in basically casino debt bets. I think the reason why they won't ask is because, the government, Democrats and Republicans, want this interest rate suppression game to continue. And, Jamie Dimon and his bank, most of the derivatives are interest rate swaps, as are in, Goldman Sachs. There's also big derivative positions there, many of which are interest rate swaps. Citigroup, $50 trillion, more than $50 trillion. Bank of America, more than $50 trillion. Goldman Sachs, about $44 trillion. Highly leveraged debt bets. Now, we're not talking about loaning money for cars or houses or factories or things like that. We're just talking about them, making money so they could buy another Ferrari and another mansion with derivatives. They're trying to pick each other's pocket. This is like a casino, and it's all backed by the FDIC, and right there, insert taxpayers. Jamie Dimon says that, the financial system is safer now. Really? Well, the five biggest banks in America have more than $220 trillion in derivatives. How can that be? Things continue to heat up in Syria. It's nasty over there. Russia is now reportedly sending attack helicopters to Syria. Meanwhile, the Russians are charging the West with arming the Syrian rebels. This is a full-blown civil war. It's going to get messier and much bloodier before it gets better. Heck, and this kind of thing is the kind of thing that might touch off, a major confrontation, with superpowers. What happens if the Syrian army and the Syrian rebels, all of a sudden that, the backers end up, meeting each other. We have a metal-to-metal clash with, like the U.S. and Russia. This could get ugly in a hurry. And speaking of ugly, don't forget about the big meeting this weekend with the Iranian nuclear program in Russia. There have been two previous meetings, and of course, the Iranians, the Russians, U.S., U.K., France, Germany, China, all meeting to try to avoid world war with Iran's nuclear program, which Iran says is for the peaceful production of energy. The West isn't buying it. They say it's much more than that. They don't like them enriching uranium. Now, if this meeting number 3 ends up like the other two, which was, hey, we're not really going to do anything, let's just have another meeting, the U.S. says that they're going to eventually have a sort of a blockade, naval and air, of Iran. But is that really enough to stop Israel from attacking on their own? They are the country that says they're most threatened by Iran's nuclear program. And finally, a new report out, Americans between 2007 and 2010 lost a shocking, staggering 40% of their wealth. I'm sure they lost money in the stock market. You know they lost money in housing. A 40% wipeout of somebody's net worth. Of course, if they would have invested in gold in 2007, they would have more than doubled their net worth. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.